Hello everyone, my name is Heather Wibbels, the Cocktail Contessa, and I'm a whiskey enthusiast with a passion for cocktails. Today we're close to the first Saturday in May, which in Kentucky means we're talking about, we're usually talking about all things horses and all things bourbon. Now for this particular cocktail, I am going to give a mint julep recipe. It's going to be a riff on the regular mint julep. This one's going to be called a Triple Crown Pie Julep. Now, if you've been to Kentucky, you know that we're known for our Kentucky hospitality and of course our bourbon and horses. But we also have a local delicacy that we like to call Triple Crown Pie or Derby Pie sometimes. And it is a chocolate pecan bourbon pie. So it's a mixture of these three wonderful flavors that all build together into this great pecan pie that you eat with a big dollop of whipped cream, sometimes bourbon infused whipped cream. So today the flavors we're going to use to build the cocktail is we're going to use bourbon, of course. I've got New Riff single barrel bourbon. It's 100 proof. That's what I've been drinking lately. I've also got chocolate whiskey, Ballatin's chocolate whiskey. It's a wonderful cocktail building whiskey that you can use. It's got a great chocolate flavor that builds through and kind of smooths edges out in a cocktail a lot of times. And I've also got a pecan liqueur called Rivulet, one of my absolute favorite nut liqueurs ever. It's got this fabulous toasted pecan flavor. And when added to cocktails, even in small amounts, you get a lot of flavor for even just a little bit. If you follow my blog, cocktailcontessa.com, or follow me on Instagram, cocktail_Contessa, you'll know I use Rivulet an awful lot of times in my cocktails when I'm looking for nut flavors. So this is one that I definitely recommend Rivulet for. It's just one of my favorite nut liqueurs. I've also got some Bitter Truth dark chocolate bitters. These are bitters that add a lot of earthy notes to a cocktail. Fabulous, fabulous in this cocktail. Now, a traditional mint julep is mint, of course, sugar, and bourbon, and some ice. It's a very simple cocktail. But the mint julep isn't just about those three ingredients. It's about the whole experience of a mint julep. So one of the things you'll need for this is a mint julep cup. Now, if you just have a regular glass, that's absolutely fine. You can build your cocktail in this. But the reason a glass is important, you can see from this one, I've already put a little bit of ice in it so it's frosted over. What you want when you drink a mint julep is you want the experience of it. You want to smell the bourbon. You want your straw to be placed right next to the mint sprig as you build it, so that every time you take a sip, the mint tickles your nose. You want the outside of the glass to be frosty cold. This is an experience that if you're at the track and you're excited and you're waiting for those horses to run, or you're waiting to see if your horse won, whether it's the Derby or not, the whole experience of holding the frosty glass, taking a sip, having the mint tickle your nose, is all about the mint julep experience. In this case, we're going to do a little bit of a riff on it because we're going to add chocolate and pecan flavors to it. I'm not going to add mint to the cocktail itself except as a garnish, but you will still need some fresh mint. As I said, you'll need a cup. If you don't have a julep cup, that's fine. You can do without. It just makes the experience a little bit more heightened. I've also got a straw to use for it. You are going to need a straw for a julep. I've got some cracked ice for the actual julep cup itself, and some ice to use in the mixing glass. I've got my jigger and I've got all my ingredients. Now, a lot of people have their own family recipes for Triple Crown Pie. My family is no different. Most families would say theirs is the best. And in fact, if you need a Triple Crown Pie recipe, direct message me or email me and I will give you mine. I recently made it a little bit over the top. I started using a chocolate graham cracker crust as the crust for the Derby pie, the Triple Crown Pie. And I also started toasting the pecans before I put them in the actual pie. So it really kind of revved up the whole flavors that were built into the pie. So if you're making your own Triple Crown Pie, try those two tricks and tell me what you think. So as a Bourbon Women, around this time of year, even though the Derby's been pushed off until September, we are all going to be thinking about Derby on the first Saturday in May. And we're probably, a lot of us, going to be drinking juleps and making Triple Crown Pie. So let's put those two together in a cocktail and see how it all turns out. So I'm going to start out with 3/4 of an ounce each of the chocolate liqueur and the pecan liqueur. So if you're like me, anytime you open a bottle, especially a bourbon bottle or a whiskey bottle, you end up taking a little sniff. That's what happens when you taste a lot of whiskey. You start to smell all of your ingredients before you put them in the cocktail. So 3/4 of an ounce of Ballatin chocolate, 3/4 of an ounce of the Rivulet pecan liqueur, which can be used in many, many, many different ways. it's great just put into a vanilla milkshake or vanilla smoothie. I'm also going to use 1.5 ounces of my bourbon. And if you don't have Kentucky bourbon, you just use whatever bourbon you think would go really well with pecan and chocolate flavors. All right. Lastly, we're going to add just a couple dashes of the Bitter Truth dark chocolate liqueur, Bitter Truth dark chocolate bitters. Next, we're going to add a little bit of ice to the mixing glass. Oh, I've got a big chunk in here. I'll just use my fingers to put that in. And it won't fit. I'm going to go with this. All right. I'm going to stir that up until it's nice and chilled. Now again, I've already prepared my mint julep glass, but all you need to do that is take your glass, fill it with cracked ice. I'm going to put a little bit more in mine. And then we're going to put the straw end and some mint. So I've got the mint julep ready in the cup, and I forgot my strainer. So I have my strainer. I got it. I'm going to put a little bit more cracked ice into the julep cup first. Make sure it's nice and full. If you have pellet ice, or if you have a way to get really nicely fine chunked ice, do use that. In my case, I just used a mallet and some regular ice. Go ahead and put your straw in before you pour. Make sure you've got room next to the straw for your mint. Take a couple sprigs of mint. And I always spank the mint before I put it in. It actually, we do refer to it as spanking the mint. You pop it on the back of your hand or your wrist for a couple times, and you put it in right next to the straw. You can see that there's the straw, there's the mint julep, and then we're going to pour this tasty julep right in here. And that is your Triple Crown Pie mint julep. And that is really, really good. You guys, if you're building this at home, again, use what you have in terms of bourbon, a chocolate liqueur, and a nut liqueur. Any kind of nut liqueur would work. If you're going specifically for the flavors of that Triple Crown Pie, look for a pecan liqueur. That's going to be the best way to do it. And cheers. Happy first Saturday in May, and hopefully you can drink this julep all day today on the first Saturday in May, and perhaps all throughout the summer. Juleps are a great summer drink, and we as Bourbon Women highly recommend drinking mint juleps any time of year. So I'll have another sip, and cheers you all.